Should we start off with the intro? Set the tone.
Set the tone. Figure out something. He said, "Welcome, Nighthawks."
Hey.
Welcome, Nighthawks. We've been expecting you. The hour's late, but the party is just getting started. I'm Alistair Kovacs, your host for a sophisticated little soiree with jazz, stimulating conversation.
And welcome to the inaugural episode of Other People's Money. I'm your boy Big Brandon here with my comrades. I'll let them introduce themselves because we're gonna be in your ear a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, first, let's get a round of applause for Brandon real quick.
Something up.
Yes, y'all kind of just know who me and Brandon are at this point. My name's Julian, Juno. A lot of names at this point. I feel like these two dudes done gave me like 30 nicknames. So
Woo!
You'll hear a lot of names as it relates to him.
But yeah, just Julian for the most part. Just very simple, straightforward. You know what I'm saying? Instagram is gonna be dropped below. Is Carter Julian I think _.
Yeah, everybody's handles will be somewhere.
It's very very simple, very straightforward. So
If you fuck it up, it's on you.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
We'll pass it on to the.
Well, I'm Cameron, Jeebs, Cam. Maybe.
He said the keeper of the board.
Current keeper of the board for this episode. I will be making sounds. Making sound effects.
He's controller of the soundboard. So
Yeah,
with great power comes great responsibility, as they like to say. So.
Well, let's see how he does.
Yeah,
We're coming to you guys live from beautiful, sunny, and homeless Los Angeles, California.
Will you
Very homeless.
cap my drink?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what I was saying is it's important for us to give you our perspective and our take on the things happening in the world around us. That's what I was trying to say. Other people's money is a concept that can be simple or it can be as complicated as you want to make it. So today we're kicking it off with the issue that affects, everybody's money.
Oh yeah,
Well, everybody.
Not just other people's money, everybody's money.
It means your money, your mom's money, your
Your
dad's
dick.
money,
Your girlfriend's money,
Your girlfriend's money
grandma's money,
and everybody's money.
your neighbor's horse's money.
whatever that.
And what we're talking about today is your guy's president. I'll claim him too because
Maybe.
I guess I have to.
You got to be an American through and through.
Got to be an American through. It's like when you're a fan of a sports team, right? You got to take it through the good years and the bad years. You can't just jump ship during the bad years. No, you're right. I like that.
But in the same breath, all the libs were like, "Oh, that's not my president. Trump's not my president."
And that's why I can't do it because I don't want to be them.
Yeah,
I can't be
kind of contradictory.
Yeah, I can't stoop down to their level. And
yeah,
then
it's like, oh, he's clearly your president. You definitely live here.
It's a double standard at that point.
Oh yeah, we're not
about moral victories and double standards.
Yeah, back to what you're saying. We got some good statistics and just interesting talking points to bring up about the subject that Brandon was just touching on. So
Oh man,
we'll let him get
maybe.
So Joe Biden has done it. He kept one of his promises. So he was telling y'all during the election campaign he's going to cancel student debt. Is it a dumb idea? For sure. Is it a horrible, destructive idea?
Well,
Definitely.
Well, of course.
But he kept his promise. I didn't think he was going to do anything he promised. So I guess we'll give him a round of applause for that. Shout out to Joe Biden for keeping a promise. Oh, man.
Maybe.
Joe Biden is canceling student loan debt for 47 million Americans.
It's a lot of people.
$10,000 for people who didn't receive Pell Grants. For those who don't know, a Pell Grant is if you come from a low-income family, they'll give you 30% of the tuition, kind of lowering the amount you got to go out and get extra loans for. Or so $10,000 for everybody who didn't have a Pell Grant, $20,000 for everybody who didn't have a Pell Grant. So obviously,
That's a lot.
this
of
is
money.
a huge moral conundrum for everybody, right? People on the left are loving it. They're fucking loving more socialism, loving the fact that the expensive degrees that they paid for that didn't pay off are now getting paid for by somebody else. I'd love that,
Well,
right? Like we got loans that we would love
Hey,
to.
Well, yeah,
and they've got
exactly.
more walking around money.
Oh yeah, they got more walking around money and stuff. And then the people on the right, it sucks that this is even like a left or a right issue because I feel like this is just like a decency issue, right? Like you don't got to be leaning one way or another.
This is an American issue.
Yeah, to believe that like if you take out a loan, the next person is supposed to cover it for
Right,
you. Like
exactly.
what concept is that where you feel like that's right no matter what political?
Socialism.
But for the most part, to your point, is definitely people who are making a certain amount of money now that they can like
Cover that shit well over themselves.
exactly. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely like one of those situations.
Brent, do you have the stats somewhere about like all the like for the level of like who they're like what income level? Isn't it like 100?
Yeah.
75K?
No, 100
140K?
minimum, maximum 125K. So that's the first point, right? Like
That's crazy.
When we were talking
Yeah.
about this earlier, that's the first point is like,
If you make 125K a year and you've like got like 200K worth of debt, it's like, yeah, it might take a minute, but it's like, bro, over 10 years, you can definitely,
You're
15 years,
fine.
you
You're
can,
good.
you can be paying, 10, 15, like $10,000 a year type of thing. Like, I don't know, like it might
Yeah.
take a minute, but it's like, it's possible and it's doable. It's just like,
That's just another
Look at
kind of
your-
like another mortgage.
yeah, exactly. Look at
Big
it. It's
ass
like, I don't
mortgage.
make 125, I make 115 a year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's still well.
You'll rather
That's
dep-
better than
you'll rather
many
just be like,
Americans.
oh,
Bro,
no,
and-
I just,
bro, and it
I just
applies
need
to-
it all to be just
and it
wiped
applies.
away.
That's individual. So
Yeah.
it says married couples can earn to collectively $250,000 a year and still qualify.
Right.
If you
Wow.
and your wife are making $250,000 and y'all can't
Pay off your student
pay
loans.
off your student loans,
Yeah,
like bro,
something's wrong there.
that like yeah,
Something's very
that
wrong there.
isn't that's the fundamental problem. And we talk about this all the time. Like that's the fundamental problem with college. I feel like we're business people, we're real estate investors, so obviously we look at everything super analytical from like that perspective.
as an investment.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna. And that's what college is. That's what an education
hell
is.
yeah.
And so it's like I don't think enough people, obviously not enough people, are looking at it in the sense of, okay, I'm gonna spend this amount to get this job that's gonna pay me this much. Like you need to figure out what market you're gonna have to live in for your job most likely, and where rents are gonna be, and like try to at least budget something out and figure out, okay, I'm gonna be making this much. All my expenses are gonna be this much. That leaves me this much of discretionary income, and my student loan. There's student loan calculators on Google. My student loans are gonna be this much a month. Doesn't make sense. You can do that in high school, and to try to like, and for people to not like push kids to do it that way versus just like telling them that it's like you got to go to college. It's
Right.
like, bro, the student loan problem isn't
Yeah.
like this year or last year, bro. This
Yeah.
has been a 20, 30, like 20 year
it's
problem.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
and
definitely.
what I
it's
was
been
gonna,
heading this way.
yeah, what I was gonna say is I feel like that's more or less like the underlying issue too. Is that like that's the real issue is that it gets taught more or less in high school or shit.
No,
Even,
you get taught that shit when it's too late,
Yeah,
when you've
even-
already signed up for college and shit. And you,
no, I'm talking about like the whole mindset of like, okay, I got to go to college to
Oh,
make
yeah.
something happen with my life.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
Unless you're like athletic or
Right, yeah.
artsy as far as like you
like already exceptional is something else.
You know what I'm saying? It's like music or dancing or whatever it happens to be. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There's really not too many other ways you're going to go straight out of unless you kind of just happen to be one of those kids that's like, man, I just want to go like work immediately.
Right.
Like I'm about to go to a trade school.
That
And
was-
at that point, that's more or less because the kid is thinking like, bro, I want to make some money
Hell
right
yeah.
now rather than like, even at that point, they're not really, calculating it as like, okay, this
Yeah.
is what I need to do, X, X, Y, Z, as
Right.
far as like, having actual, financial equations for, and I'm gonna say financial equation, but you know what I'm
But just
getting at, like
doing some research to
doing some
Yeah.
research and having, I'm saying like a budget and I'm saying all that
Like a
stuff
real
for
plan and
a
shit.
real actual plan rather than just like, all right, I'm just going to school for
I mean,
this.
that's a point I was
And-
making when me and Brandon were talking the other day, like about like he was talking about people like you could do it when you're in high school, like finding out what your field would be, how much you'd be making, and all your like expenses and shit, planning out your budget. And I was telling him like, at least when I was in school, from what I could tell, it didn't really seem like. I mean, obviously there's a few people who seemed like they were capable for the majority, it didn't seem like kids were capable of even having critical thinking like that.
yeah,
And
because
that's
nobody,
like,
because they're not,
it's not
nobody's taking
necessarily-
that shit seriously. I mean, I know, okay,
that's true, but like it's not necessarily their fault because no one's even teaching them that shit.
and that's what
like
I'm-
in the
and that's
business
kinda what I was
classes, you don't
getting
even
at,
really
yeah.
learn about that. You
'Cause-
learn about like 401ks and retirement plans, but that's like nothing that's going to help you.
yeah, you damn near
immediately out
only
of
have
high
a
school.
chance of doing it, of like really learning it and figuring it out if you don't decide to go to college.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
you definitely
once you're
learn
in it,
But
you're
you
like,
gotta-
fuck,
in it.
I'm
You
in
gotta
it.
take that shit upon yourself.
I don't want to
anyway.
disappoint my parents by
And then if
stopping a
you're-
year and
because
shit
in
like
high
that.
school there's nothing that's really driving you or you're not thinking that way at that point in time on some like you're
You're not really there because you chose to be.
Bro,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
and this segues into a perfect thing. I have this article brought up by the New York Times, and I just want to read this story to both of you guys. It talks about this one lady with student loans and stuff like that, and like I'll get to the point I'm making after I read it, but it's like what you guys are talking about right now is a perfect segue for it. So it was like, they were told vote because your life depends on it, said Miss Hector, 23, who has $50,000 in loans from Spelman College. And then we're here on the ground months away from midterms elections, and people in the communities are wondering, well, does my vote really matter? This is her, like, she's for student loans. Forgiveness. She says, Miss Hector said that in addition to her own college debt, her mother also borrowed money for her education. She criticized the administration's decision to impose limits on who would receive loan forgiveness based on salary, noting that while some of her peers earn a healthy income, they would also be responsible for supporting their younger siblings who might borrow to attend college. You're still in an inescapable debt from school, and you're still taking care of your family and community, said Miss Hector, an activist with the organization Rise, which has pushed for loan forgiveness. My parents are probably in lifetime debt to get me in that position, and I'm going to have to repay them by ensuring my little brother is going to school. That's the pressure you have. So her parents went into debt. She went into debt, has a job that doesn't pay the debt, but somehow is still convinced that it's on her to push her little brother
to go into school,
to go to college and get him
debt.
in debt, and then put herself in debt for him. So it's like the parents are in debt for you, you're in debt for you, you're in debt for your siblings in debt for them. It's like a double layered tranche of debt for like every person.
Is that a pyramid scheme?
It's like who's figuring, like you went to college to get smart. And now you're out on the other side, supposedly smarter, with $50,000 in debt, and you're not smart enough to figure out maybe I should talk to my little brother and say, hey, look, there are other alternatives besides this. But no, you feel an obligation that now you got to send him through the same debt trap that you did as well too.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It's like, what is the point of this?
I mean, at that point, it's on some like moral victory. It is. Yeah. I don't, you know what I'm saying, and it just sounds stupid because I mean, if you're trying to be on some like, oh, I can take care of my community, or I'm trying to take care of my community, and by pressing my siblings into school and doing all that stuff, like that's if what they really decide to do. And honestly, as a older sibling, or I'm saying somebody who's giving them some guidance, you're supposed to be there to look out for them, not be like,
not send them off.
Help them learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Not be like, okay, like I hope that, whatever you decide to do pans out for you. It's like, if I'm in a position, like I have younger siblings, if I'm in a position, by the time they get 18, 19 and they want to go to college or whatever, or I don't know, it's at 19, but 18 years old, and they want to go to college or whatever, like, I wouldn't be just one of those older siblings that, and if I got the money to where I'm just like, okay, I'm just ready to pay for you to go do whatever. Cause like, even if I knew I wasn't going to go into debt or it wasn't going to affect me like that, it's still more or less the principle of it.
You know enough to ask them the right questions to figure out if that's the right move for them.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? They might not have anybody else who's asking them the questions, or they might not ask themselves the questions, but you can ask them the questions.
Like if you get to a point, like, and I feel like the old art degree thing is the one that's always just thrown out there. But I got
nowadays it's gender studies.
Yeah, but I'm like,
a pyramid scheme in itself, gender studies.
And part of the point she was trying to make was that there shouldn't be a cap on the salary of people who get loan forgiveness, because
also too, that I think I just got the point. My bad. It came back to me. If somebody like wants to go to school, right, and there's somebody you love, and they want to go to school for a degree that makes them no money, or that's hard to do, or they're not, it's on some like, okay, like
not a lot of jobs
after high school, and you're just like, okay, I really don't know what I want to do, but I'm really into art, I'm really into this, and that field happens to be something that's just like really not applicable or makes sense to pay for, what I'm saying, in general, even if you got the money to lose, right, let alone go in debt. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta, at that point, like I said, look at it in a situation of like I don't know, like it's a conversation the same way anybody has with any sibling or any kid or whatever, you know what I'm saying, those conversations that need to be had or whatever. But I feel like it's easily just doing that, you know what I'm saying, and it's explaining to them, like, if you want to go to, like, I'm not forcing you to go to school, because if the one thing that you like really, really like is art, then I would rather you just like not go to school for a few years, and maybe something else comes across that you're like, okay, I really like this now. And at that point, maybe you do need a degree, or maybe it's something that actually makes sense for you to go to school for, or it's something that you can self-teach yourself, like, or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, school isn't the only way, but the main thing too is like, if you do go, at least go for something that makes sense, or something that
has some real world.
Yeah, exactly. Not just something that just like, okay, like I had the pressure to go to college right after high school.
All right.
Really didn't know what I want to do. So the only thing that I ended up doing, or the degree that I'm in, is something that I like, because people always say, what, do what you love.
Right.
So it's like, nigga, if you think you know, if you're really good at drawing or something like that, or I don't know, I'm just trying to think of stuff that's like in that type of like, you know, category of like things that are more like hobby like, or that don't a lot of people, even once you get a
Not
degree,
marketable jobs.
you don't make,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of these jobs available. Like how many jobs are available for somebody who's just like really, really good at drawing? I'm sure there's a lot of people who are good at drawing that have
Damn near like
degrees.
graphic design stuff.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Like authors, children, like
Yeah, exactly.
illustrating children's books and shit.
yeah, so I'm just
regular
like
books, whatever.
stuff like that. It is.
But
at
to
the
your
end of
to
the
your
day, don't
point,
make
bro,
sense.
if you're into art, bro, graphic design is probably something that you could teach yourself. Like one of the easier skills you could teach yourself.
Hell yeah.
Not saying
You
it's
could
an
teach-
easy.
you
Not
could-
saying
you
it's an
could teach
easy
it-
skill
oh,
to
sorry.
learn. No, my bad. I'm just saying it's not that it's an easy skill to learn. It's that it's one that is very easy to learn online if you really want to go down the rabbit hole of learning how to do it. Like, bro,
Right.
download Photoshop. 1,000 hours of YouTube tutorials. You're good at. You're like you could go get a job for some marketing agency as a graphic designer after that, and that's
Yeah,
like
right.
easily self-taught stuff. And to your point, that's the problem. I think more or less is like people don't understand that like one, businesses are dropping college requirements left and right from their requirements, because it's just like they're starting to realize in this new way. Yeah, back in the day when literally the only way to get the information was through going to college, yeah, it made sense. You had to get a college degree. Nowadays, it's like, bro, even the businesses recognize you can learn the stuff online, and if they just restrict it to college grads, they are restricting themselves from a pool of people
Who have
who
plenty
are
of
probably
skills.
going to be cold employees. Like to your point about art, right? Let's say, boom, you're into art, you're self-taught graphic designer, you're on Upwork freelancing, you got 10, 20 clients, you've been doing it for 2-3 years, you're making money, like you're really good at it, but you don't have a college degree. Who would they rather hire? The college degree kid who came out, or the person who's been running their own freelancing graphic design business for the past 3 years?
Actually has a real resume.
You know what I'm
has
saying? It's like-
reviews, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, no.
And people need to start shifting their minds, especially the young kids, to realize that that's the new way to succeed. Is it like fail early,
Well,
build some sort of
and-
resume and skill base in
The
something?
thing
Yeah,
is,
real
that's
world application.
that needs to get put somewhere in the actual like school, like before you get out of high school.
Got to
That
be in
needs
school, because if
education
it's
system.
relied on the family, a
And-
lot of people are going to miss out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And exactly, you said exactly kind of what I was gonna touch on, is that, to your point, because if it's up to the family, then you got people that's like this, that I'm saying, that we just read this article about, like, no offense
Dumb
to the
college
lady.
grad pushes
And like I
her
said, no offense
child
to
to
him,
be
but
dumb
it's just like,
college
it's just a
grad.
prime example of that. It's just like
Trying to send them down
like,
the wrong path.
Like, just because you feel morally like, oh, my parents struggled, and do all this, so I gotta like pretty much repay them by like doing it for my brother. It's like, no, repay them by like
Helping
figuring
your
out
brother succeed a better way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, and like I said, the way still might be going to college, but it's like, make it make sense. Is all.
Go to
It has to,
college-
it has to make sense
It
at this
has to
point.
make sense.
Yeah.
Don't do it just because it's like, oh, okay, like morally, I gotta like send
Go to college for something.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Because
look at it as like you're saving for your kid's future, not like, oh, I'm saving for like the thing back, like to your point, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was, oh, I'm putting away for my college, kids' college fund. College, tuition fee, and all this. It's like nowadays, I mean, you just got to look at that as like a future, like a
future fund.
Kid
Yeah.
future investment. Like,
But that's why it all circles back to why I'm personally against the student loan forgiveness thing. And that's one of my biggest reasons, is because, like, despite you're right? Kids should be supported, school and everything, to like be able to make the wise decision. But at the end of the day, bro, we're living in a time where like 5, 6, 7-year-olds are savvy with social media.
yeah, facts.
So there is no excuse that by the time you're 14, 15, 16, you're just at least not on the internet just like just trying to figure out what the next step is going to be. And
Right.
if you aren't able, if you're not willing to do the most basic amount of work to like see if there's free courses out there, or see if there's stuff for you to do, like then and you just decide, like, you've been told since you were 5, so that's just the thing you heard, and that's what you're doing, is going to college, and that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
And you pick a stupid degree and you can't pay for it. That's your fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's what's the issue with the whole student loan thing. It's like if everyone who's getting all these loans, going into debt, and like, as we know, going into fields where they're either not for their degree or not getting paid really anything for the amount of money they spent and like what they could be earning with their degree or whatever, all these people making mistakes and shit, you go around forgiving all their student loan, that completely like it's like they're trying to sweep the problem under the rug, like not really trying to take notice at what's like the real issue for all the student loan debt. Like just forgiving everybody's debt is not going to address the real issue of what got everyone here in the first place.
I have this article from Bloomberg. It says, here's a statistic that may give some pause. More than half of college graduates over the age of 25 don't work in their field of study, according to a new study from Intelligent.com. And the survey also found that 25% of respondents earn less than $30,000 a year, while approximately 1 out of 7 college grads earn less than $15,000 per year. An individual annual income of $14,097 is considered below the federal poverty level.
And you went to college.
Yeah, that's pretty
So,
crazy.
so 1 out of 7 people went to college are basically under the poverty level. You got 25% of them who are making $30,000 per year or less. Like I can't do the quick maths, but like, bro, like
That's bad.
that's McDonald's.
yeah,
you can make
yearly
more,
salary.
Yeah,
You
you
that's
can
like
make
a
more at
manager at
McDonald's.
Manager
yeah.
McDonald's yearly salary. Like your
exactly.
little brother was just telling me at the job that he's looking for, they're paying like 19 an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
19 an hour full time. That's at least 30,000. I
At
gotta
least 30,
think.
yeah.
I gotta think.
Something around that range.
And then you take into account 50% of the people aren't working in their field of study. So it's just like, bro, you combine all these figures, and it's
and
just
everything just points to like
Like
do
I
some
s-
research
do
before
some
you
research, right? I
before
can't
you
even say
commit it.
don't do it. Just
Yeah,
do some
yeah,
research.
exactly.
Like,
And like I said, bro, like trying to forgive all this debt is just trying to sweep away the issue that people are all making mistakes and people are being led completely astray.
right, or else there wouldn't be a problem.
Exactly.
Like,
There's
people-
there's
pe-
definitely a problem.
bro,
To your point, it's been going on for 20, 30 years. so
People
it's
are basically
clearly
saying
been going on.
pay for the problem, don't fix the problem.
Right.
And it's just like, what is that going to do?
Because in
That's
20,
gonna
30 years
essentially-
we'll be right back here.
Yeah, it's
Right
gonna
back in the
essentially
same spot,
Yeah, it's
bro.
going to essentially reset the clock so we can do this again.